Guys, I'm starting to run out of ideas for good introductions. Let's just move to the Black Ops 7 review. God, where do I even start with this? Oh wait, I know how.
You gotta be careful. He's right here. We don't want you dying. The enemy is right here, guys. Hey, what does this barrel do? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! They're jumping him!
Fight back! Yeah! Fight back!
Yeah!
I'm texting.
Stop
right
ordering
now.
Domino's on your phone.
I'm ordering Domino's right now.
Oh, this is awesome. They somehow traveled to the fucking crash site of the real plane in the Schizo world while we were climbing through the fucking inverted roads and shit.
I can cheese this. Hey!
It works?
Fuck you.
No.
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 I saw everyone talking about how bad the campaign was, and I was thinking to myself, it can't possibly be that bad, right? It was that bad. I'm not gonna harp on this too long because you've seen it all online. Kagan is an uninteresting villain, the story goes nowhere, the writing is awful, the main characters aren't interesting. The wacky boss fights that people are complaining about actually have some narrative substance, but they fall flat because they're just not fun fights. But the campaign is a fun time with friends. You can just squad up with friends and all laugh at how bad this is. If you play this solo, it's just gonna be a miserable time. I'm not going to talk too much about endgame since I've only played one match, but from what little I've played, it's basically Modern Warfare 3 Zombies or Modern Warfare 2 DMZ. Never played DMZ, but thought Zombies was fun for a bit, so I might return to the mode later. But at least the campaign, however bad it may be, was written by actual people. Foreshadowing is a narrative device in which suggestions or warnings about events. So far, multiplayer has been an absolute blast. It's basically an upgraded version of Black Ops 6 in nearly every aspect. Other than the upgraded movement and stuff, it's just your generic Black Ops multiplayer experience, so there's not much I can praise. But there are two things I can praise. The biggest claim to fame is the reduced skill-based matchmaking. I had a session that lasted 4 hours long, and not once did I feel burnt out or tired of the game. Call of Duty has always had really intense skill-based matchmaking that just makes it impossible to have extended sessions as soon as you start getting good. But here I've been having a healthy mix of good and bad matches, so I'm not constantly getting steamrolled after getting a 1.1 KD that one match. Maybe I'll actually be able to hit high prestige levels without getting burnt out. The other thing I want to bring up is the maps. They're actually good this time. Black Ops 6 had a really bad selection of launch maps except for a few standout ones like Stakeout and Skyline. But I've had a lot of fun on maps like Toshin, Cortex, Flagship, The Forge, and Exposure. These are just simple 3-lane maps and nothing overly complicated. And I know a lot of the post-launch maps are just going to be Black Ops 2 maps again since this is a sequel to that game. But I wouldn't mind seeing other games' maps come back. You had Skyline in the campaign. I'd also be cool with seeing the Pines, Diesel, or Miami Strike from Cold War come back in a later season. Moving on to zombies, from what little I've played of Ashes of the Damned, it's pretty fun. It's basically just Cold War zombies, and if you like Cold War zombies, you'll like this. I'm only a casual player, so I'm not going to talk about the really in-depth shit like the Easter eggs and wonder weapons, but just the structure of the map itself is pretty unique with the zone areas you can travel to via Old Tessie. Also, the fact that the truck is the pack-a-punch machine makes it more mobile, so you're not hard stuck in one single area. While I'm personally not a fan of the color palette on Ashes of the Damned, the skybox is beautiful, so that's something. But if you're like me and don't really care about the main story progression in zombies, survival might be for you. It's more condensed, being restricted to just the farm, but it's a lot simpler and better focused on just high rounding. If every post-launch map gets a survival variant, zombies might see more playtime for me than usual. So far, the game has not had notable performance, whether good or bad, it's just the way it's supposed to be. No hitches, no crashes, a decent enough file size, so instead I'll move to a couple of rants. I'm going to try and be careful with what I say here because I think this is the first time I've mentioned generative AI on this channel, so forgive me for spending the next few minutes ranting. If you don't care, just skip to this timestamp. I'm not one of those Twitter heroes that see AI used in any form like NPCs in video games and automatically think it's the devil. I think there are places where AI is needed. It can cut out a lot of secretarial and numbers work in the medical field, leaving doctors and scientists to focus on more important things like curing cancer. But I also believe that full-on generative AI like the Coca-Cola ad is bad if done unethically. It's harmful for the environment, it puts people out of jobs at a time when unemployment rates are skyrocketing, it lacks the emotion that makes all art so beloved, and it destroys the goodwill consumers and employees have with corporations. If they're willing to cut corners here, where else are they going to cut corners? The workers or the product themselves maybe? The AAA gaming industry especially has been keen on adopting generative AI in order to cut costs and keep as many people who need to be paid out of the equation as possible. These higher up executives at companies like Microsoft and Krafton think Gemini and Sora can copy the same amount of love and passion that Tango Gameworks put into a game like Hi-Fi Rush, and oh would you look at that. This is where the ethics part comes in. Fortnite's AI Darth Vader voice is kind of okay because Epic directly worked with James Earl Jones' estate and had his express permission before he died. Also, something like that just isn't physically possible with pre-recorded voice lines.
If I were forced to choose, I would select Toji Fushiguro, a formidable warrior who does not rely on
Likewise, I have not played Arc Raiders and have no intention of ever playing it. However, I've seen that the voice actors they hired for their AI voices have signed contracts and are getting paid royalties. If true, that in my opinion is also acceptable because they got the express permission from the actors and they're still getting paid. There's also the problem of the image generation themselves. Generative AI, by definition, cannot be original because it needs data to train from in order to create its images. So the easiest response is to just say it's outright unethical and possibly even copyright infringement. And that is true to an extent, but I believe there is an ethical way to do it. If you were to somehow pool all of an AI's training to a single traceable source and get the permission from that source as well as properly compensate them in perpetuity, then you're not stealing from artists because they've all consented to it and are getting paid. But I understand that is a lofty and unattainable solution. Websites like Twitter, DeviantArt, and Adobe have millions of sources of data to train from, and it's impossible to get all of them to consent to this, without lying anyway. So the bottom line is, if you're not putting people out of jobs at a time of crisis, you get express permission from the sources beforehand, and somehow you're not damaging the already fragile environment, there can be very niche cases of generative AI being acceptable. Now, why was all this needed? Because this game is none of those things. I stopped playing Black Ops 6 after Season 1, so I'm not sure how far down the GenAI rabbit hole they dug, but their use of GenAI here is egregious. There are some calling cards that you can clearly tell were AI generated, and the worst part, for some reason, they all adopt the Studio Ghibli style that Midjourney and Grok were using for a while. Like, for fuck's sake, you couldn't even try to hide it? I mean, they couldn't really hide it because Steam requires you to disclose AI-generated content, but still, why use the Studio Ghibli AI? Now they rightly have grounds for a lawsuit since you're profiting off the game. This was the easiest way to erode what little goodwill I would have had with Microsoft and Activision. Now before you guys say anything, I was gifted this game. Also, to you, the viewer, please do not blame Treyarch for this. I seriously doubt the developers who are living paycheck to paycheck were ecstatic at the idea of adding Studio Ghibli AI calling cards to Endgame. This is, without a doubt, the fault of the penny-pinching executives at Microsoft and Activision who are eager to save as much money, shut down as many studios, and put as many people out of work as possible. Moving on to later topics, I absolutely hate how they straight up cancelled Carry Forward. I loved the feature when it was introduced in Modern Warfare 3, and it actually got me to trudge through Modern Warfare 2 so I could play as Spawn in the better game. Not only that, but right after they rolled back Carry Forward, they announced Jason Voorhees and the fucking Predator were coming to Black Ops 6, but not 7. I don't understand why it's so hard for Activision to just introduce a toggle. Some people like Nicki Minaj and Beavis and Butthead, others don't. Simply make a toggle that disables these skins on your screen and replaces them with milsim soldiers. It's that easy. Finally, this isn't a problem with the game itself, but I really want to get this off my chest. Can we please drop the, remember when Call of Duty used to be realistic to be? Call of Duty has not tried to be realistic since at least Cold War 5 years ago. Modern Warfare 2019 had Billy the Puppet and Leatherface. World War II was a highly romanticized and solely US-centered retelling of World War II. The Predator was in Ghost multiplayer, and that game had aliens in extinction. Black Ops 2 had a literal bacon camo. Zombies have been a thing since World at War. Black Ops 7 literally takes place in 2035. Yes, there was a time when they had somewhat grounded stories, but that time is long past. Stop coming to modern Call of Duty and expecting it to be this ultra-realistic milsim shooter. It has moved on, and so should you. And don't get me wrong, I'm not on Activision's side. They should not be charging $25 for bundles and $10 to $30 for battle passes in a $70 video game. And I do think they are going overboard with the collabs last year, especially with American Dad and Seth Rogen, but they have not tried to be realistic for years. If you want a hyper-realistic, boring-ass tactical shooter, play Arma, play Hell Let Loose, play Battlefield. There are plenty of shooters out there that fill this role. Stop trying to make these games something they're not trying to be. Black Ops 7 is as close to friend slop as it gets. Just because the campaign is bad doesn't mean the entire game itself is bad. I've been having a blast with multiplayer and zombies, and that's really what I came here for. It's a good start, but there's so much bad will towards this game, so it unfortunately might not get the redemption it deserves. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is available on Xbox Game Pass on Xbox and PC. A PC-only plan is available for $16.49 a month, but the Ultimate plan, the only one to include Day 1 access to Black Ops 7, is $30 a month. Other than that, it's available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via Steam, Battle.net, and the Microsoft Store. There are two versions of the game available, Standard and Vault. The Standard Edition costs $70 and just comes with the base game. The Vault Edition costs $100 and comes with a few other goodies. For starters, you get the Black Cell Battle Pass bundle for whichever season you buy the game during, starting with Season 1, and 20 additional tier skips, so that's equal to 50 tier skips. You also get the Operator Collection with Karma, Harper, Ted, and Reaper EWR3. Finally, you get 5 Mastercraft weapon skins, a permanent unlock token, and an Ultra Gobblegum pack for zombies.